This is World Peace episode 15. Last week I was in a restaurant and there was a guy nearby, and we started chatting. And he said he was about 26 years old, and he asked me, he said, "What did you do in your career?" And I told him, "I'm still doing it. My life is not over yet, so I'm still working towards world peace through geography knowledge." And I asked him what he did, and he had traveled quite a bit. He'd been to Yemen, Thailand, Iraq, the Philippines, and we talked about the beauty of all those places that he had visited. I have never been out of the United States. I've been to all 50 states, but I've never been out of the country. So I'm enjoying chatting with this guy. And I told him that we create geography games for free that students can use to learn names and locations of continents and oceans, the 50 states and countries of the world. And I told him about some of my interactions with different people around the world. When bicyclists stay at my house, I've had I think I'm up to 59 different bicyclists that stayed at the house, and many of them are not from the United States. One of the most recent was from Poland. I've had them from Prince Edward Island, Czech Republic, Sweden, Quebec, all over the country. They talk about their travels, where they've been. And I told this guy next to me at the restaurant, I said, once you know the names and locations of the countries of the world, you can have polite conversation with people from around the world and show them respect. And I said, I believe that would help lead to world peace. And he said, that will never happen. World peace will never happen. And I thought, never is a long time. I have seen so many things in my life that I thought would never happen. For example, when I was raised in a Catholic school in Missouri, and my mom was Catholic, my dad was not Catholic. And back in those days, the masses were in Latin. All over the world, they were in Latin, and they'd been in Latin for 1900 and some years. My dad said, I can't pray prayers in a language I do not understand. He said, when the Catholic Church changes from Latin to a language to English, then he would convert. He respected my mom. He loved my mom. He respected the nuns and teachers and priests at school. He really knew they were all good people. But he still had this little red line. That was his red line. Not going to say prayers that I don't understand. And I thought to myself, so he said he would convert to being a Catholic when that happened. He really wanted to. He'd seen me and my sister grow up and all the things we'd learned. He really wanted to, but that was his red line. And he said, whenever the Catholic Church changes to where the Mass is in English, he would convert. And I thought, that will never happen. And of course, a couple of years later, I was shocked. Just a few years later, I was shocked when it happened. My dad converted. And it was just something I never expected. Later on, a few years, that was when I was about 16. When I was 27, this guy's age, my grandmother was in assisted living in Seattle. My parents lived in Seattle. And when I would visit my parents, they would take me with them when they went to visit grandma. They visited her almost every day for dinner. It was just such a wonderful thing they did. But so I went with my mom and dad one time to visit grandma. And as I'm walking down the hall towards her room, there's the bulletin board. It says bulletin board, and people put their prayer requests on the bulletin board. And there were many. One of the prayer requests was pray for the breakup of the Soviet Union. Now, I think the Soviet Union had probably been around for most of my life, and I thought that would never happen. Pray all you want, that's not going to happen. That's what I believed. And as we all know, just a few years later, the Soviet Union broke up into Russia and about 15 other countries. I was shocked. There's a lot of things that we think will never happen. If we don't try, they won't happen. So many things. Every inventor that you know created something that was never created before. Eli Whitney created the cotton gin. Alexander Graham Bell made a telephone. Who would thought that would happen? And now today, one of the things I thought would never happen is something like this, a cell phone. That any device, I never thought you could have a device you could carry around with you in the car, hiking in the woods, and use that device to call somebody and not have to be connected to a wire. If someone would have told me that was coming, I would have thought, that'll never happen. Don't waste your time pretending. And of course, now I was driving around the airport at Phoenix Airport, Sky Harbor Airport, and there's these cars, these white cars with these spinning things on the top. I'm driving along, and this white car, I passed the white car, and I noticed, what is it? First of all, what is this spinning thing on his roof? I think that is another spinning thing. And I looked in the car, and the car was moving. The car was driving. There was nobody in the driver's seat. There was nobody in the front seat. I don't know if there's anybody in the back seat, but I watched two more cars like this as they came out of a parking spot, went a little ways and pulled into a parking spot. So my point is, if we just think that it's inevitable that people are going to hate each other all their life, and they're going to fight each other all their life, we think that's just the way life is, that kid might be right. But I got a quote from a guy from India, a philosopher from India. I was talking about world peace, and just like this guy, someone on one of these social media's channels said, he said, that's not going to happen. You're pretty naive. It's not going to happen. But this philosopher from India came with a text to me, and it said, for what we do not know, we fear. And who we fear, we fight. And I have thought about that quote so many times, and I believe it's true. We don't know. There's so many things we don't know about people around the world, and we fear them. What are they going to do? Are they going to invade? Or are they going to, whatever they might do? We're afraid of them because we don't know them. And the quote, for what we do not know, we fear. And then, of course, we want to fight them. It's easy to fight somebody you don't know. I mean, no. It's easy to send other people to fight for you. It's easy to send. My dad was a volunteer in World War II. My mom, named Rose, was sort of like Rosie the Riveter, where she worked on the Navy Pier in Chicago back before it turned into an amusement park. So I have great respect for those that would protect our country, fight for our country. But perhaps if we treated people with the respect, and if we knew the countries and the location, if we could say something nice to somebody from whatever country they're from, perhaps that would help lead to world peace. I have had so many, if you've seen any of the other world peace episodes, you know how incredibly interesting it is to meet somebody. I was in Utah last week, out at the Bonneville Salt Flats, and there were I was out there, and there was these three ladies walking by, and where a friend of mine were doing some project. These three ladies were walking by, and I waved them over to watch this guy do his work on the ground. And I said to them, "Where are you ladies from?" And they said, "Well, they're from China." I know where China is. Pretty much everybody knows where China is. But then later I met a couple of guys from Costa Rica. "Where are you from?" "They're from Costa Rica." And I could tell them something nice about their country. That's all you have to do. You don't have to become best friends with somebody. You don't have to take them out to dinner, go to a movie, but you at least should be respectable and polite, because here's another thing. If you truly believe that God created you, you have to believe that God created every single person on this planet. These are God's children, just like you are. And to go around killing people, kids, anybody, just because you fear them, let's not fear them. Let's learn about the world. Let's learn country of the world. Let's show respect. And when you meet somebody, you're confident that you can say, "Where are you from?" And if they say they are from Sri Lanka, you can ask them, "Now, what about those elephants on Sri Lanka? I hear they've been attacking bicyclists." Well, that starts a conversation, because elephants do attack bicyclists on Sri Lanka. Things like that. You have a conversation, you might develop a little friendship. At least when you see them the next time, you say something nice to them again. That's all for today. This is World Peace episode 15. I appreciate your time. If we just assume that it will never happen, then it's kind of a self happening, but if we work at it, if we care about it, I believe we can do it. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in episode something else about world peace. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.